Welcome to our series entitled The IAM Podcast, a podcast about innovation, business, and most importantly, people. In this series, we'll be talking to founders, executives, and various experts about their vision, challenges, best practices, and lessons learned throughout their journey. Let's get started. Meet Yash, your Clientjoy founder. Yash is the co-founder and CEO at Clientjoy, a client lifecycle management software for freelancers and agencies. This software allows users to manage their clients right from the leads to proposals to project management to client support to invoicing and revenue realization. They are on a mission of helping 100K agencies to grow, fulfill, and earn. He believes a mission or a vision does not mean anything if it does not have a timeline. And while some users and customers might be wrong, the market is always right. This podcast is powered by IAMOps.io. Optimize your cloud infrastructure and CI/CD process with IAMOps.io dedicated DevOps team. Check out www.iamops.io and get a DevOps team now.
Today, I'm joined by none other than the co-founder and the CEO of Clientjoy, Yash. Hello, Yash. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, May, for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome to the IAM podcast. How are you feeling
Thank
today?
you. Oh, I'm feeling awesome here. So we just had an internal all hands meeting. Things are looking like they're on track, and so super happy to be here.
Great to hear that. And we are thrilled, we're excited to know more about you, your product, and your startup journey. I bet a lot of people will learn from you today. This first question is not so easy opener question, but let's fire up the session with this. So for the investors that are listening to our show, could you give us your killer elevator pitch, Yash?
Sure, absolutely. So here's primarily how it goes. The collaboration between clients and agencies and services providers is broken. Clientjoy helps agencies and freelancers manage their clients and grow their business by managing their leads, proposals, contracts, projects, ticketing, invoicing, and revenues, everything in one single place. We serve about 3,100 agencies in 90 plus countries as of now. And we're a team of 28 people who have a killer ability to build software products. We've built 23 of them before. And we are growing month on month and helping customers and getting a positive word of mouth, average rating of 4.6 on 5. And yeah, so that's a very, very quick elevator pitch for Clientjoy. And we're on a mission of helping 100,000 agencies grow, fulfill, and earn.
I've read about that. On a mission of helping 100K agencies. And on your website, you're now helping over 1,900 agencies
Yeah.
and freelancers.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
So it's 1,900 agencies and 3,100 freelancers.
Oh.
And so primarily these agencies are 20 people or less. So just starting out, are serving anywhere between 3 to 20 clients at once on a concurrent basis. And they belong to digital marketing, design, IT, consulting verticals. And freelancers are all over the place. And so all of these primarily were having a challenge of using, a sales CRM and using a proposal engine and using something for project management and something for invoicing and then payments and reconciliation. And ultimately, all of their client communication and collaboration still happened on emails. And so that's the problem that we solve for them right now. And yeah, so
you're helping agencies and freelancers. I want to know, have you been a freelancer yourself?
I'm an IT agency before. So we are three co-founders, and the three of us primarily started doing a small agency, like a 3 people agency. We used to build static websites for people. And so that's kind of how the three of us started. It was the starting of this company was primarily just from our wanting to work with each other and having fun while doing it. And so we started by doing static websites, and then slowly over a period of time we grew from a 3 people operation to a 50 people operation, and we expanded from static websites to web and mobile application in SaaS, fintech, and e-commerce, and so we built about 23 plus products for large organizations before. And it was while we were on this journey of going from 3 people to 50 people was when we started realizing that the agency client relationship is broken. right? As and when we grew as well, the three of us who were the founding members were investing more than 90% of our time in just managing clients, responding to emails, and getting things kind of trying to get things back on track, and trying to collate data from all these 3-4 different softwares that we were using, and the experience was just broken. So we spoke to about 200 people in 33 companies in 14 different agency verticals. So like in IT, design, consulting, HR, back office, accounting, all of those. And one of the things that we figured out was this is a reality. I mean, so this is true for everyone, and there's just no good way for everything that an agency does in one place. So there are either general purpose CRMs or general purpose ERPs, or there are business management solutions, but there's nothing that's fairly specific to, let's say, things like hourly billing, or things like getting approval workflows between an agency and a client, and so on and so forth. So everything is makeshift. So they'll makeshift Trello, they'll makeshift Monday, they'll makeshift Asana, to kind of try and kind of make sure that it works that way. But it just didn't. It was broken. So that's kind of how we started out.
I was a freelancer myself, and I also had a
Oh.
problem with creating proposals, sending invoices, right? So I can relate to that. What you're offering.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. What makes Client Joy stand out in the competition? I mean, over others who offer the same services.
I reframe this question a little bit, and instead of answering how are we different, unique, or what makes us stand out, I try and answer for how are we better, right, for the customer. Because ultimately, whether it is a freelancer or an agency does not care for a different solution. They ultimately care for a better solution,
A
right? How
better
is it more efficient? How is it more cheaper? How is it more, how can I generate more ROI, or whatever, right? So here's the scenario, right? So if you're an agency, like let's say a 10 people agency, or even if you're a freelancer, there are a couple of options that you have. So you either are looking at a landscape of softwares that are horizontal in nature, right? So these are the softwares that are CRM softwares, project management softwares. And so you'll see things like Pipedrive in under CRM, and then their competitors, and then you'll see Asana and Trello in collaboration, and then you'll see Slack and Flock and stuff like that in communication, and so on and so forth. So that's one set of platforms that exist, which is an option for agencies and freelancers.
Mhm.
Then there are other set of softwares and platforms that are primarily business management softwares. And so think of ERPs or business process management softwares, right? So essentially, as an agency, these are the two options that you have. So I'll give you an example. So as an example, you have a proposal that you've created, and let's say you are doing web design for us. And so you created a proposal, let's say charging $5,000. Now, what you want is, as soon as I sign the proposal, I should receive an invoice for 50% of the proposal amount, right? Currently, what you'll have to do is you'll have to use a proposal software, and then you'll have a separate invoicing software. And then once the proposal is signed, you'll wake up, and then you'll go to another invoicing software, and then raise that invoice, and then wait for the payment to come in, and stuff like that. And so in Clientjoy, you can convert proposals to invoices directly. So as soon as the client signs the proposal, receives the invoice, that invoice contains your payment link. So the client can go to pay now, make the payment, get the receipt of the payment, you get the payment recorded. And so the next day when you wake up, you know that this is the project that I've closed, this is the money that I've received, and I need to start working on this. So this is one fairly simple use case. The other thing is the ability that you have to offer a client portal, right? So a portal where there's a client, and then there's you, and it's completely flexible. You can embed anything into it. You can iframe anything into it. All the history, you can have a shared file repository, all of your history of proposals, invoices, activity logs, emails, calendar bookings, meeting notes. You can
Wow.
bring in Notion, you can bring in anything that's available on the web. You can primarily bring that in, and this is not even integrations that I'm talking about, right? So a simple use case is, let's say if you're a digital marketing agency and you're doing that for Clientjoy, and you've created a dynamic report in Google Data Studio that will give me real-time insights. Now, instead of having me go to Google Data Studio, you just bring that into the client portal. And so whenever I go to the portal, I have access to that report right there and then. So there are these small little use cases that kind of go beyond what you expect out of a software, that fit in really really nice and well into your agency and a freelancing workflow, that kind of make Clientjoy better than the other options, or those two kind of pools of options that they have today.
I'm sure it started with something. I mean, before it got
Yeah,
100% better or maybe the best. Tell
yeah,
us about your MVP, Yash. How was it? What was
yeah,
its scope? And how did the market
yeah.
accept your product?
Um, so those are some those memories are what I categorize as painful at the time, but
Hmm.
good and happy as of now, right?
I'm
So
so
I tell you
interested.
what. So yeah, so in February of 2019, we kind
Mm.
of made a call that this is a product that we want to make, and we've made SaaS products before. How hard could it be? And so we started building the product. It took us about 6 months to reach our MVP. We already had engineers, we already had designers, because this is something that we used to do. Um, and so we built that. It took about 6 months, and then in November we released our first version right out in the market, and we got killed. Right, we literally got killed. You don't have this feature. This feature doesn't work well. This has not been well researched. The design could be so much better if you just knew X, Y, or Z, and so on and so forth. And so the day that we launched, and the 20 days that followed, it was a nightmare, right? Because it's just kind of being hit on left and right for all the team members and everyone. And all of these are public comments, right? They are not even on our support chat. They are on our Facebook. We run a Facebook community, which is where we have about 800 of our paid customers who are there as a part of that community, which is what we also use as a sounding board, right? So we kind of drop in ideas and stuff like that. So all of these are public comments and posts that we are getting. And so those 20 days were really difficult. And then we realized one thing, and that we should have learned sooner, is that there's a big difference in building a SaaS product for a client, and then building SaaS product for a customer, right? And so the primary difference is that when you're building something for a client, the client's request or the client's requirement is paramount, right? So they say that the button should go over here. This should be the color of the button. This should happen when they click, and then this is the flow. And so you are just keeping your head down. Whatever you're saying, I'm making it as a document, designing it, getting it approved, and then doing it for you. When you're building a SaaS product for a customer, however, the customer has no face, right? So because you are essentially a SaaS product that is going to be used by hundreds and
Anyone.
thousands of
Mm.
people. So, yeah, so you don't know what their requirements are, and so you have to basically rely on having loads of conversation with people who are in different time zones, different work profiles, different age groups, and then get somehow figure out a way of getting insights out of it, right? And so that is the first thing that we learned. The reason why I look back at it and think and kind of I'm happy about it is because, so this is a firm belief of mine, right, that the opposite of love is not hate, right? The opposite of love is indifference. And so the fact that we it was very clear that people are not loving the MVP that we are putting out. But the fact that people were hating the MVP, it meant that it mattered something to them, right? And so they wanted us to do better. They felt that if we shout at these guys might actually be able to build something that's useful for us. So if it were not useful at all, they would not even spend a minute of their time, telling us anything. You just see no posts, no activity, no nothing. So they'll come, log in, check it out, just move on. But that was not happening, right? And so it was not indifference, it was hate. And so our job that way became a lot more easier, because now you don't have to convert a potential customer who's not paying attention. You have to convert someone's hate into love, and that's far easier to do, actually. You just have to do some things right. You just have to go that
I
extra
like
mile,
that.
and so then you'll be able to convert that. So that's kind of a painful plus happy memory type of a scenario of the experience of launching the MVP.
I love that. I mean, that's very valuable. The difference between building a SaaS product for a client and building a SaaS product
Yeah,
for the customer. So market validation is
Yeah.
really important. You do conversations, what's good about our product. I also love what you said. The opposite
Yeah.
of love is not hate, it's indifference. Okay. And do you still
Yeah.
do that? I mean, now I think you're very successful. You're now helping over what, 1900 agencies and freelancers. Do you
Yeah.
still get on conversations like that, like you did before?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We obviously have a customer success team
Mm,
that kind of helps people who sign up and then just managing and helping them learn Clientjoy quicker and import from whatever Excel sheets or whatever it is that they're using to Clientjoy. So that team we have is helps customers and users do that. However, I still so if you go to the community or even some of the demos, they are done by me, because you never know what should be the priority in the product unless you actually experience that yourself, right?
do you have a mantra, Yash, as a CEO? I mean, do you have something that you tell yourself every day for you to be the best of like who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a couple of things. So I'll start with the first one. And so the first one is, so this is not something that I tell myself every day, but it's something that I believe in, and I kind of try and rally the troop that we have as well. Is that a mission or a vision does not mean anything if it does not have a timeline attached to it, right? And so you cannot, so you cannot just say that you want to help 100,000 agencies and get away with it. That doesn't mean anything. So you've got to have a timeline. So you got to say, we want to help 100,000 agencies do X, Y, Z in 3 years, right? Or in 1 year, or in 5 years, or whatever, right? So up until that point of time, it's just good words that are written somewhere. But then they start to, when you attach a timeline, then they start to become a goal or a milestone, right? The second thing that I firmly believe in is that while some users and customers might be wrong, the market is always right, right? So if so, there's it is incredibly arrogant to say that my idea is ahead of time. I mean, who are you to say that? So if you, no matter how good the innovation is, no matter how brilliant your idea is, if it is not useful for the market as it is today,
Mm-mm.
it doesn't make sense. You wait for the market to get there, or you figure out a way to help the market get there, but then it becomes valuable. The third thing is that ideas are dime a dozen, and so execution is what matters. Never ever get excited by listening to ideas. Always the excitement should come when those ideas are actually put into practice. There's another framework that we use at Clientjoy, and this is the last one. I mean, there are a couple of more, but this is the last one. So
Sure.
another framework that we use at Clientjoy is DIM, which is Discover, Implement, Measure. So since all three of us were engineers, we always wanted to just think of something and start building it. So going via this methodology actually tells you what is working and what is not working. A lot of times you'll see that you've worked on a lot of things, like 60% of them are not working at all, but you still kind of keep at it. And there's just no way that you know that something has already stopped working for you. And so these are like 3-4 things that I kind of have as a mantra or believe in.
Mantra. Okay. And that's very helpful guide for you. Okay. You mentioned about your co-founders. You're all
Yeah, two
engineers.
co-founders.
And I learned that one of them you're co-founding your company with your wife.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely correct. So Anupama is who's our chief of tech. She's also
Mm.
my wife. I married up, and so she but she wasn't my wife when we started out.
Oh,
When we
okay.
started out, it was just we were three friends. So we've actually been friends. We've known each other for more than half our life, I think. And so I'm 30 now. We've known each other for more than 15 years now, and we've had incredible journeys, right? So the most formative years we've spent together in terms of while we were at our high school and then looking for a college, getting our degrees, and then getting our first jobs and then starting this company. All of this journey, the three of us, me, Abhishek, and Anupama, have done this together. And so we've cried together, we've laughed
Amazing.
together, we've hit each other, and we've not spoken to each other for 6 months, and so on and so forth. And so even at my wedding, like Abhishek was my best man, right? So the Indian version of the best man. So I co-founded it with a friend who then later became a life partner as well.
I love the story. Is it better co-founding it with your wife, or does it make the journey tougher?
I would argue that it is better, and here are a couple of reasons why. Right. So one is that there are times when you're down, right, and so you're just you're trying a lot of things, but something's not working, and you'll see months pass that way, and you just not kind of break through some sort of a glass ceiling, right, at any company for that matter. And so the fact that I'm able to have a conversation with my wife about that, so I'm able to share my insecurities. I'm able to share things that make me vulnerable. I'm able to discuss problems. I'm obviously able to. The other part of it is I'm able to celebrate success. Right? How great is it to celebrate success that's not just yours ever? Right? That's always for both of you.
You mentioned about the times when you're down. So let's talk about your challenges in your startup journey. What were your biggest challenges as the CEO of Clientjoy, Yash?
So, biggest challenge primarily around attracting great people, right? We now have a really good team. We're still hiring. So if there's anyone who's into technology who's watching this, please go to clientjoy.io/jobs and please apply. But the the journey of being three people, and starting a small company and then having your first couple of people join in, that's, I think, one of the most difficult things to do, because you're asking someone to take a risk on their career on your idea, right? And so I can risk my career on my idea because I'm the
Right.
person who's responsible for it, but I'm primarily asking someone else to risk their career for next couple of years onto what we want to do. And so that was the biggest challenge in terms of convincing people, and then getting them on board, and then actually being true to yourself, right? And true to them as well, in terms of what are we doing, and why is something not working, how will we make it work, and so on and so forth. I'd say that's the biggest challenge. The other challenge, and these are day-to-day challenges that we typically enjoy, is basically, let's say, designing an interface that appeals to both a 20-year-old guy and like 45-year-old woman, or a 30-year-old accountant, or let's say a 25-year-old lawyer, and a 35-year-old freelancer. And so all of these people in different countries, their backgrounds are different, their identities are different, the way that we brought up is different, and building something that kind of works for all of them at once. And these are some of the challenges that we kind of enjoy on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, so getting our first customer, like getting our first paid customer, that's also a challenge, because you're the kind of product that we are offering, it's not an ancillary software, right? It's basically me asking you to trust us with all of your financial data, right? Your payment gateway, your invoicing, your customer data, your even your leads data, right? The way that you draft your proposals, write your contracts, all of those things are on our platform. And so getting our first customer when we were not known, I mean, so those are some of the challenges, but these were the fun challenges, right? So there's some of the things that you kind of these are challenges that you start your company for, right?
You mentioned about hiring the best talent is one of the challenges. And
Yeah.
getting your first client, I am interested in asking you, how does it feel to have the first testimonial about your product? And
Yeah.
what was that? How did
You
it
don't sleep
impact?
that night.
You don't sleep at night.
Yeah, you don't sleep. That the night when you get a first positive testimonial, you don't sleep, because and this is not just for me. This is for the team that worked on it as well. That it's something that you've worked on, and have had all of these challenges, and we've actually raised some amount of equity financing as well. So we've got about 14 investors who've invested in the company as well. And so there are all of these different expectations that are around you, right? Your team has certain expectation, I have certain expectation, our investors have certain expectations, our partners have some expectations, and that one testimonial which says, the Clientjoy is one of the best things that I've used in a while. Clientjoy is a great CRM. Other things that we kind of also saw was one of our customers sent out a screenshot saying, hey, I sent out this proposal from Clientjoy and it closed in about 2 days, and typically it would take us about 10 to 12 days and 3 follow-ups to close it. And just the fact that it was available on a link and they could sign right there and then, they were able to do it
Amazing.
faster. And thank you, right? So just for someone to say you thank you. And so those are amazing feelings here. I mean, it's something to die for. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Those would definitely keep you up at night.
Yeah, yeah.
Very rewarding. It's like, okay, what important lesson have you learned from your startup journey? It wasn't easy, like what you said, right? It was a nightmare. But now, looking
Mhm.
back, so what
Yeah.
can you advise, your fellow co-founders or entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs?
This is good advice, like in a startup and in general as well.
Okay,
Is something to the effect of. So there's a quote, right? It says, "This too shall pass." Right? And so it's
this too
something.
shall pass. Oh,
Yeah, so it's something you should always remember when you're super happy, and it's something that you should always remember when you're super sad. That this
that's right.
too shall pass, right? Always. And so that's something that kind of helps. And then there are a couple of things. So you will be so which is one of the things that I did here as well, right? So you may be asked in a lot of different forums by a lot of different people as to how you're different or how you're unique. And so if you're asked that, don't try to be different or unique, right? So our goal is to help our customers do something better, right? And then whatever they had previously. And so strive for being better than your competition. And how will you be able to consistently do that? The third thing would be, and this might be for startups that have scaled a little bit. So if you're a 3 people company, this may not apply, but as and when you kind of grow beyond 15, 20, 25, um, you know start delegating and implementing processes, rather than doing everything yourself. And so instead of working in the company, try and work on the company.
I love that.
And you'll actually probably hate the first couple of weeks of it, because you just keep on thinking, if I were to design that slide, or if I were to write that piece of content, or if I were to do this, then I would have done it like that, and it would have been so much better. And so that will happen, but it's a part of the process. Trust in the process,
I love that.
and it shall pay. Yeah.
Wow. A lot of amazing things you've mentioned for today. First, do not try to be unique, right? Strive to be better than your competition. It's not being like the product is amazing, but it's how helpful it is for the market. It's
Yeah.
really market validation
Yeah.
day one. Okay, down to my maybe last question for today. This is a surprise question for you. So, could you complete the sentence? Yes. I am Yash,
Sure.
your blank founder. So, what do you want to be known for?
I'm Yash. I'm your Clientjoy founder.
So, you really want to be associated with Clientjoy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's my second name.
Yeah, that's a
There
good
are
idea.
people in there are my relatives. My relatives say my name in their phone as Yash from Clientjoy. So yeah.
Okay, I got that. That was a very interesting, very fun conversation for tonight, Yash. If they want to reach out to you just to say hi, where can they reach you?
LinkedIn works best. So I hope you can link my LinkedIn profile down below. I'm super
Well,
active on LinkedIn, and yeah, so that's a great place to reach out for sure. I also actually run a blog on yashshah.in, which is Yashshah, which is my full name, .in, which is where I put down thoughts and learnings on just on the journey of building Clientjoy.
we'll also definitely check that out. And I know you have a podcast. So, what can
Yeah.
people expect by tuning into the agency show?
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. So the agency show is basically where we get people in the agency business who've been there and done that, and then get them, and then we have a very very similar sort of a format where we have a conversation with them around growing, fulfilling, and earning money as far as agency business is concerned. So we try and understand what their mistakes were. We try and understand what their best practices that they've discovered. We have coaches on, we have people who founded agencies and exited from those agencies. We have mentors. We have all of those people who've done something really great in the agency world and then have their experience to share.
Wow. So definitely please check that out, guys. And
Yeah.
thank you very much, Yash, for all the thoughts, valuable thoughts and insights that you have shared today. I'm sure they learned a lot.
Thank you, May, for having me, and looking forward to replying to comments that we see in the post.
Sure, for sure. Okay, all the best to Clientjoy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Make sure to check out www.imops.io if you want to know more about us. Subscribe to our podcast so you can get notified every time we post a new video. Thank you, and you have a great day.